Alright guys, welcome to the first drafting video of the online sessions that we're going to use to finish out the year. Yeah. Let's talk about where we're going to start here. First things first, I'm going to turn that down because I don't know if you can hear it, but it's distracting me. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about what is going to happen over the next 6 weeks, 7 weeks. For those of you who have not done it yet, please look at the announcement section in the Canvas classroom and watch the meeting that occurred last Wednesday morning. Has a lot of information about what we're going to do to finish out this year. But first off, here is what we're going to do today, or rather this week. This week's finish, or lab, or assignment is Lab 27. What the assignment here is to complete 3 view drawings and an isometric view on the paper on your own. We're going to change that up just a little bit in that, well, I guess we're not changing up the assignment itself, but the procedure is a little different because most of you don't have a t-square, and nobody has the actual parallel rule that we've been using all year. So we're going to jump forward, take a look at Lab 27. That's the assignment for this week, and we're going to utilize this assignment to accurately create drawings without the use of a parallel rule, while still trying to maintain as parallel lines with the edges of the paper as we can come up with. Now there's a couple of dimensions on here that are a little strange that we are going to make some changes with as we go. For example, if you look at the front view, you'll see that it starts being 1 inch wide and then it goes 0.967, which if you pull out your scale ends up being 32 or 31/32 of an inch, or something close to that. Either way, it's far too precise for what we're going to do here. So what's going to change is that's going to become 1 inch. Because it's a 45-degree angle, that also means that it's 1 inch down. And what is going to be wrong with this is going to be the 0.37 inches section in the middle. Same thing with the bottom. I'm just going to give you the information about how tall that step is, because I mean, you can do it with the tools, you can figure it out, but it's just one more complication that you guys don't need. So when we get to that point, I'll talk about it. Now the assignment today is to create the 3 views and the isometric, and that's just what we're going to do. If we take a look at this, our shape is 4 1/4 inches long, 2 inches tall, and 2 inches deep, which gives us a top view box that's 4 1/4 by 2, a front view box that's 4 1/4 by 2, and a right side view, that's 2 inches by 2 inches. So let's dive right in. We're fine there. So we're going to start off by waiting for my clock to finish chiming 8. So we're going to start off by creating the box that all 3 views and the isometric view will fit inside of. And then once we have those boxes completed, everything else becomes quite a bit easier. So while not having the parallel rule changes quite a bit about how you do this, it doesn't change the steps. So let's flip over to the document camera. There we go. Okay, so let's start here. I have my triangle, and I'm going to be using the edges of my title block. If you don't have paper that has a title block, first off, if you have the access to a printer, because it does make it a little easier for you, I have, pardon me, I have the title block paper on Canvas for you to download and print at home. If you don't have access to a printer, and believe me, until I went to purchase one myself here a few days ago, I did not either, other than what was at school. Just use a blank piece of paper and then use the edges of the paper for the steps that we're about to say. So, okay, so I'm taking the short edge of my triangle, right? And I am visually lining it up with the bottom of the title block. Okay, I'm going to flip the triangle over so that the measurements are at least going the right direction. Okay. If we look at this, once I've got that in place, I'm going to slide this down just a hair. I can see through the triangle that I'm still parallel with my straight line, but I put the 2-inch mark of the triangle on the center mark here. If you don't have a center mark, that is definitely something you should do first off, is cordon the paper, and you can do that by folding. Here, let me take another piece here, and we'll show you what I'm talking about. So I have a blank piece of paper here. Actually, it's another title block, but I flipped it over so we could see the other side. So take it and just fold it. Fold it like a, what do they say? Fold it like a hot dog, I guess. Okay. Do a light crease. Fold it again. So now we have our 4 quadrants. Okay. And then I'm going to unfold it this way. Fold it again. You could do all this with measurements, but it is going to... Uh-oh. What happened? Let's try that again. Did the camera die? Interesting. Well, while I'm trying to figure this out, let me continue talking about this. Okay, interesting. Not now. Did that change anything? Yeah, there we go. It was weird. Okay. Sorry about that. So we're going to fold it like this. Notice I'm only pinching in the rough centers of these. And then I'm going to unfold it again. Okay. Fold it this way along the creases that we've already got done. Fold it one more time. Seriously, come on. Just work. Work would be nice. Window capture. Nothing? Nothing? Okay. Properties. Let's see here. No, not that one. Not that one. Okay. Pause. Okay. Sorry about that. I think... Let's see what I've done so far. I opened it up and I folded it long ways. And now I'm going to fold it in half long ways one more time. Come on. Pinch only at the intersections of our quarters and lay it out. Now it's going to be a little different. You can see here that, here, let's just flip it over so as not to confuse you. We now have there and there, here, and here. So you can do that much faster if you're not explaining it. But I do have my 4 quadrants. I can smooth it out again and use it as the center points of my paper. Okay, back to the game. So I'm going to flip here, and what would we say? Our heights are 2 inches, right? So I'm going to put a mark at 3 and a mark at 1. I'm going to do the same thing up here at the top. Once again, keeping visually parallel. I've moved the 6" to my upper area mark here. Putting a mark at 7 and a mark at 5. Okay. Alright, so all of this is going to be about using the short edge of your triangle as a way to keep a straight edge. When you're lining it up with a line at the edge or the edge of your paper or something similar to that. Alright, so our top is 4 1/4 long. Now what I could, what I would do if this was the parallel rule is I would line it up so that 2 1/8 was lined up with my center. But it's going to be easier for me, I think, if we just utilize the triangle as our parallel rule and pull out our triangle here. I'm going to line up. Remember, keep the short or narrow edge with the edge of the paper. Good. I'm going to line this up so that 2 1/4, 2 1/8 is on that mark we made just a moment ago. Put a mark at 0 and a mark at 4 1/4. And usually I don't recommend doing this because the edges of your triangle could be messed up. But just to save everybody time, I'm going to go ahead and you can go ahead and do this too as long as your triangle is fairly straight. Or your parallel, words escape me. Your scale is fairly smooth. You can go ahead and draw that line. Now having that line drawn gives me a couple of options, because the next thing that I want to do is, even though I have the marks for the top and the bottom of both the top and front view, I'm going to go ahead and utilize this corner that we just created to make the sidelines of our shape. So lining that final part up with the edge of the triangle and just making line all the way down. See, it is very, very light. Let me do that again so you guys have a chance of actually seeing what I just did. Okay, so I have my straight line. It's definitely the entire length of the paper. It definitely covers all that we need and more. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side too. Remember, this is all about being able to make accurate drawings when you don't have all of the tools that you need normally. So now that I've done that on both sides, I can go ahead and finish the top part of the top view. I'll put my triangle there, and my pencil on the dot. Line my triangle up visually with the side of the paper and connect the top. I don't care about making this too dark because the top views, top and bottom lines, are full straight lines. The front view, however, is a little bit different. So let's take a look at it. If we switch back over to the lab, you'll see that we have 1 inch coming over. We don't we don't get told specifically, but we can infer based on the rest of the facts that this is also 1 inch. And at the bottom we have 1 1/8 of an inch. So that's what we're going to do. 1 1/8 at the bottom and 1 inch on top. So I've got the dot that I made earlier. I'm putting my pencil down. Because we have that line that we drew, I can use that as my guide line on the parallel side, on the parallel rule side, and make a line 1 inch long. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, going from 4 1/4 to 3 1/4. And there we go. Doing the bottom exactly the same way, except I'm going to flip my triangle over so that I can have that guiding mark of the page itself. There we go. Put my pencil on the dot we made just to give myself a positive stopping point. And on the bottom, remember, it's 1 1/8. So there. And on this side, we've got, come over to 3 1/4. So it comes, at this reversed measure, comes to 3 1/8. That gives us 1 1/8 remaining. Now you see it didn't go all the way over. That's because the edge of my triangle is rounded. So I just got my starting point made and then bring it over the rest of the way. Okay. So essentially we've got the primary blocking parts of our top and side view done. Let's go ahead and get the top part finished. That's going to be easiest by using our 30-degree triangle as a parallel rule for our 45-degree triangle, and using this edge visually to get it in place. Alright, so this is going to be kind of like a combination thing. Now that I have my 30-degree triangle in place, I'm going to slide my, now that I have my 45-degree triangle in place, I'm going to slide the 30-degree triangle down here at the bottom so that I can get my measurements right. So at the end of the 1 inch mark right here is where this triangle is lined up. I'm going to slide this so that any inch mark, I'm going to use the 2 inch mark because it's easier, is lined up with the straight edge here. And then I'm going to move this out of the way. Now the reason for that is because I needed to know where this mark here is. 1 inch down and 1 inch over, right? Once I have that mark made, or actually I don't even need to make the mark. I can just move the 45-degree triangle so that it is sitting on my 3 inch mark and connect them. Because at the very least, my 45-degree triangle still has sharp points. If yours doesn't, then you'll have to do it the other way, which was going to be once you find that mark, just find a straight edge and you have to put a mark down. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So this time, remember, I'm going to use my 45-degree triangle here and line it up against that side of the drawing. There we go. Oop, there we go. And we're going to measure over, so it's going to be a full, 2 inches? Right. So I put the 5 inch mark on my edge. Move my triangle over so that the 3 inch mark, because that's counting down where we would be, ends up there. And then coming down to the 30-degree triangle and drawing a line across. So, easy peasy. Now the less easy part. If we look at the bottom part, it says we've got 120 degrees, right? So we have a 120-degree mark right here. Essentially, that's a 30-degree line coming from vertical. Easy enough to do. You just have to think your way through it. And the other thing that we have to do is we have to come up 1/4 inch. So that's the measurement that you would have had to have, actually 3/8 inch, I apologize. That's the measurement you would have had to have figured out on your own beforehand by using everything. So we're just going to give that to you. I'm just going to give it to you. So I'm going to put a mark here. Or at least I'm going to set my pencil there. Make sure I've got a straight edge going right here. Oh, I made a mistake though. Here, I'm going to flip it around so that I'm using my triangle here. This one. We're going to measure up from that spot 3/8 inch. So for this, that would be right there. Okay, once I've got that in place, that mark I just made, we're going to draw a line that is too big. Okay, so I just made sure it covered the ends. Oh, whoops. There we go. So what I did was I set the triangle down here, so I've got a straight edge. Set this right here and measured up 1, 2, 3/8 inch. Made a mark. Then slid this one up the side and carried it across. Easy enough. So to get our 30-degree angle, that would be this. So, okay, so we want a 30-degree angle. Because of the way that the triangle works, that means that we have to use the 60-degree side in order to get our measurement. Just trust me. It may not sound like it makes sense, but it does. So, we set this right here. I don't like what I'm getting there, so I'm going to use the bottoms of the numbers lined up against my bottom line here. Set, gotta hold it in place. There we go. Set here and line up with the end of that line, and then connect them. See? Easy as that. I'm going to flip it over. Do the same thing on this side. I've got my 45-degree triangle lined up. I put my pencil on the end of that 1 1/8 inch line, and I carry that up. And that's it. Other than the cleanup, the front view is done. And the hidden lines, but we'll do that in just a minute. Let's go ahead and finish taking care of all of the solid lines on our top view, though. Easy enough. All we have to do is line up with the bottom here. So just like if we had a parallel rule. And line up with that corner and draw them together. Do the same here, just keeping an eye towards making sure that the bottom stays right. If it helps, you can use one of your other triangles. I can use my blue one. We'll keep the blue one in place. There you go. Maybe even grab some tape. Tape might help. And connect the dot. And connect the dot. Just a happy little dot. Sometimes when I'm narrating these labs for you guys, I feel just a little bit like Bob Ross. Although no one could match, nobody could match the master. And you don't want to see me with paint, trust me. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap up this real quick. We have to do the end cuts here and then the hidden lines. So let's flip back over to the lab and see what that tells us. 3/8 of an inch in and 3/8 of an inch down. Okay, so I know you can't see my mouse. Unfortunately, I can't point very well. Uh-oh. There we are. Back to the document camera. So we're going to come down 3/8 of an inch and we're going to come in 3/8 of an inch. Top and bottom, both sides. So let's flip this over. Since we're going up to the top, we'll use here. So see, the real difference without using the parallel rule is just making sure that we're paying attention to keeping our tools straight with the edges of the paper. So actually one thing that I could do now that I've got that in place, I'll get the blue one out of the way, put the clear one back in. So I have measurements, and bring it over. So I've got 1, 2, 3/8 of an inch right there. I have lined the top of my thing up with the 2-inch mark. I've lined the vertical side up with a 3/8 inch mark on my down here, and I lined the edge of this up with that first long line we made. Having that in place, all I have to do is come down 1, 2, 3/8 of an inch. And then if we looked at that before, let's flip back over real quick. We know that's 1 1/4 inches tall. So let's go ahead and draw that out. That would be 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the same thing on this side. And then finish that up with just a quick mark. There. From 1 to 3/8 of an inch down to 1, 2, 1 5/8. So those are the lines, and all we have to do is connect them to finish it off. Connect over. Now, if you've come up with a faster way to do this, as long as it's accurate, I don't really care what steps you take to get here, as long as you get here in the end. Alright, now as they say, all that's left is the tears. We just have to do the hidden lines. That'll be easy enough. I'm going to line up here and keep it straight. And draw a light right there so I can come through and erase in a minute. That one and that one, those are going to be a little different, so here, we'll come back to those in just a second. Lined up. Okay, hidden lines on both sides. Now let's get let's see here, we'll just line up same way we did before with the top of the edge there. That's a hidden line. That's a hidden line. Alright, so this video is going quite a bit longer than I planned for it to. So once we've done that, I'm going to go ahead and stop it for now. And we'll pick up on another video here in just a minute to finish this up. Alright, catch you in a little bit. Bye.